All right, welcome everyone. This is Jeff Foley with Paladin Financial, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Paladin Financial Talk. You might see I'm in costume here. This is, if you're not obvious, Bruce Willis. So every December at Paladin Financial, we take the month of December and we take different Christmas movies and we try to peel out of those different financial lessons. So this one's controversial today because our movie is, of course, Die Hard. So many people question whether or not that's actually a Christmas movie. So depending on where you go with that, you might like today's show. But so financial lessons from Die Hard. So what do John McClane, exploding C4, and retirement planning have in common? More than you think. So,
probably more than it has in common with Christmas.
True. So this is not just an action movie. Die Hard is, yes.
No, I'm just
okay.
You pointed a gun.
Sorry.
I'm just like, whoa.
I'll point it out. It's not just an action movie. It's secretly a movie about preparation, risk management, problem solving, and strategy. So Today we're going to turn Bruce Willis's barefoot battle into practical money lessons for your investments, taxes, and financial protection. So we're ready to go.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you make a great John McClane. I just want to say you look almost just like the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're buff, ripped, ready. I love that with the leather jacket and the cigarette. The fake cigarette is great. Yeah.
I don't know how to hold it.
No, that's good. That's a good sign. You've never smoked. So and that's pretty obvious at this point. But the Nerf gun is a nice touch too. Later on, to make it authentic, later on we'll have in the show, you'll be walking over broken glass, like with your bare feet, like Bruce Willis does in the movie.
I walked into that, didn't I?
Yeah. I mean, you wanted to take it to Dunn. You said, let's take it to Dunn. I want to really sell this. But you make a great McClane, right? They're at Nakatomi Plaza on Christmas for the big office Christmas party. For those who haven't seen the movie, I can't imagine there's anyone alive today.
Unfortunately, there are. But
wow,
we'll move on. Yeah.
It's a great movie. And it does take place during Christmas time. So a lot of people, that's the big debate. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Even though it includes those things you mentioned, C4, explosions, John McClane. Yes. So where do we begin? What's the first financial lesson from this movie? I'm curious.
Yeah. Lesson number one is expect the unexpected. So McClane didn't plan to save Nakatomi Plaza. He was just going to a Christmas party, but he was prepared because of his training, his experience. He's aware of things. So the lesson here is don't plan for the world that you expect. Plan for the one that comes crashing through the window. So some parallels here on the financial side is life is going to throw you curveballs, whether that's a layoff or medical issues. The stock market goes down significantly, tax law changes that aren't good for you. So you want to have flexibility. Flexibility is going to beat perfection. You can't have a perfect plan. Things are going to change along the way. So some action items to think about with this first lesson is have a good emergency fund set aside. So we typically recommend 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund in safe liquid cash. If you're a business owner, make that 12 months plus in case you have something happens with your business. You also want to make sure that you're being proactive with your tax plan. So tactical tax planning as things change and evolve throughout the year and laws change as well. You want to be able to adjust on the fly. We also want to make sure that your portfolio is properly diversified and you have enough cash reserves for opportunities. So if we do have a market correction, you have some safer things that you can tap into. And if you would like, move into the market and buy some of those things on sale. So that's our lesson number one. Expect the unexpected. We know something's going to happen.
Well, yeah, and I like that. Expect the unexpected. And you said something that I really liked there, Jeff, and that's flexibility beats perfection. Mm-hmm. I love that. You can't have the perfect plan, but hopefully you can have a plan that you can tweak along the way. It's flexible. That's really good. And of course, you always talk about emergency funds, things like that. What's the next big lesson?
Lesson number 2 is having the right tools. The right tools are going to matter for you. So McClane, he didn't randomly grab weapons. He used what was available to him at the time, whether that was a gun, a fire hose. I think he even used office tape, an office chair. So make sure that you have more than one tool at your disposal and you think through this in advance. So the financial parallel here is the right financial tools. They're not emotional, they're strategic, they're logical. So, for example, stocks and bonds can have very different returns, very different risk levels. They have different results. How you use those in different situations is going to be crucial to having a good retirement plan. Roth IRAs versus traditional IRAs, they have different results, they're tools. How do I use those in the right situation? Another common example is cash value life insurance. Some people think it makes sense for them, some people don't. Again, it's a tool, as we've talked about. You want to see, does that tool make sense for me in my situation? If I have it, what do I do with that tool? When do I use it? So, depending on the mission and what's happening at the moment, you're going to look at what tools do I have and how do I best use them to get the best results.
Sure.
So,
I think that sounds great.
yeah.
Obviously, the right tools. He didn't have all the right tools. He needed a good financial planner, or actually, probably an armorer, in his situation. But that's great. I mean, some of these parallels are a little bit of a stretch.
Not at all.
But
no, easy, Tony. Easy. So some action items for you is be aware of your surroundings, and that's the market, interest rates, taxes, what's going on in the world around us. You want to have buckets, as we talk a lot about on the show, in your retirement plan. So you have some money that's safer, some money that's moderate, some money that's more aggressive, relatively speaking, and use those at the right time. And you don't want to rely on autopilot. You want to be able to change with the circumstances. So, for example, if you're taking income out of your retirement portfolio and the market's up, maybe you take that out of the more aggressive investments that you have in your retirement portfolio. If the market's down, you don't want to lock in those losses, move to more conservative things. So be, again, flexible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. So, some good action items. I mean, you've talked about creating buckets for your retirement plan before, and, especially nowadays, interest rates, inflation, taxes, they all play a big role. Now, that was number 2. What's lesson number 3?
It ties in with something you just said there, Tony. Is lesson 3 is know the villain, know what villains you're facing. So,
Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
I saw something on social media recently, oddly enough, and I think it was a German parody, and there some German people were talking about Die Hard, and they said in their country it's not a drama, it's a tragedy, because Hans Gruber is the most misunderstood person in film. So I thought that was funny.
The Hans Gruber character, they mourn him, but he was the villain in Die Hard. So what is knowing the villain all about?
Yeah. So Hans was smart, sophisticated, and underestimated. And just like taxes, inflation, healthcare costs are changing all the time. And particularly in Minnesota right now, healthcare is upside down. A lot of changes that are occurring there.
Oh, yeah.
Emotion-based investing is another one you want to be aware of. So know thyself, but you can't beat the villain that you don't understand, or a risk that you don't plan for. So some financial parallels, some Hans Grubers, if you will, to plan against are the taxes. Those can chip away at your investment returns. Inflation, sequence of returns risk, which we've talked about on the show a number of times, taking money out of things at the wrong time, and behavioral mistakes. We're all guilty of this. As you have panic selling, the market goes down, or there's an election, I don't like the guy or gal that's in office, and I'm going to move the other direction. Be calm about things. So some action items for you to consider is have a proactive plan, a proactive tax plan, for example. Don't go broke safely and get overconfident. So don't go broke safely, meaning inflation, if it's 2 to 4% a year on average, and you don't have investments that are keeping pace with inflation, you're going to go broke safely. On the other end of the spectrum, don't get overconfident, too risky, and the market corrects and you have to pull money out of things and lock in a loss. Or you might be overly invested in a particular stock, for example. We see that's a common one. So you want to pay attention and adjust as your risks ebb and flow throughout the years, and have a written plan to guide you when your emotions run high or when they run low.
Well, as far as comparisons go, or a lesson to draw directly from Die Hard, I think that's the best analogy yet. The villain, know your villain. Taxes, inflation, sequence of returns risk, your own emotional impact on your finances that can derail you. So knowing the villain is good. And in a movie like that, they got to know the villain over the time. Have they known more about Hans Gruber, they might have been able to solve that crisis sooner. So that's really good, and a good action plan to take care of those things. Obviously, work with a trusted financial professional like yourself. So what's lesson 4, Jeff?
Lesson 4 is decide on the mission. So Hans, he wasn't after decorations on the 30-foot tree that was in the main room there. He wanted the real assets. He was after the bearer bonds. I think it was like $640 million of bearer bonds. So you want to know what you're after. So the parallel here is what matters most in your life isn't the things that are flashy. Who uses bearer bonds? Kind of a boring thing, but
Right.
doing the right things doing the things that you want to do with the people that you want when you want to do them is a goal that many people have. Be consistent in your contributions. Steady wins the race. So if you're putting that money into your retirement plans, your IRAs over time, that's going to build up for you. You also want to look at having income that you can count on in retirement, whether that's Social Security, a pension, annuities, safer investments, whatever it might be. And then also strategically get out of debt. And when I say that, depending on the debt that you have, if you've got a mortgage and you're paying 2.2% interest on it, you've got all your other debt paid off. I would argue in many situations, don't run to get the house paid off, because you can make more in the market if you're invested properly over the long haul. So depending on your situation. Also minimizing your taxes for the long run, not just the current year. So we've talked about on the show before is the tax industry and tax software is all geared towards how do I save someone money this year on taxes? But a lot of times that's kicking the tax can down the road to an unknown situation. So if we do projections and we plan out what is your income going to look like in retirement, it might make sense for you to get some of the taxes out of the way now and not worry so much about saving this year. So again, know what you're after. If you don't know where you want to go, you're going to get there, and understand where your income is going to come from in retirement.
Yeah, that's a great parallel. Don't get so caught up by the flashy, huge Christmas tree and all the Christmas decorations, but actually, the bearer bonds, the $640 million worth of bearer bonds in the basement, people forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to do that with your finances either. What's the next lesson you have for us from Die Hard, the Christmas movie?
Yeah. Lesson number 5 is don't go barefoot. That's a big one.
Oh,
So,
yes. We talked about that. Now you're going to demonstrate by walking over glass with bare feet.
Tune in next week.
Okay, sure.
So running across broken glass, very painful. Going through life financially unprotected is even worse. So some barefoot mistakes to avoid: not having disability insurance, depending on your situation, of course, not having a long-term care plan. A lot of times when I say long-term care, people immediately think long-term care insurance. Not the case. Long-term care plan. What are you going to do for your care? What kind of care do you want? How are you going to pay for that? Not having a tax strategy for retirement withdrawals. All money is not created the same. How it's invested and how it's taxed should be considered in when and how much you use that asset as income in retirement. Not having estate planning documents is another important one. Maybe you're underinsured for risks like home and auto accidents that can come up, or you might be underinsured for life insurance. So those are some things to be aware of, and some action items there are to review your insurance coverage, know what you actually have. A lot of people, they're living their life, raising kids, job, whatever it might be. They don't know what they have. We're on autopilot and we're doing our day-to-day stuff. So that's where a good advisor, if you're doing this yourself, step in and be conscientious about what insurance do I have in place currently. Secondly, you want to look at having a good spend down strategy. How are you going to use your assets over time to create that retirement income in both good and bad markets? And get your estate plan done or updated. A lot of people that come in and meet with us for our second opinion program, they don't have an estate plan in place, and it's something that's bothered them for a period of time. They know they should have it. It's a gap. Get it done. And that's something we can help you, guide you in some different directions to get that knocked off the list. And then finally, have someone look at your weak spots. Everyone is unaware of certain things that are flaw or potential flaw in their plan and how they approach things. So having someone else look at that gives you a different perspective. That's very important.
Yeah, that is huge. So we're on to lesson 6, our final lesson from the movie Die Hard, Christmas movie.
That's right, the Christmas movie Die Hard. So lesson 6 is celebrate the wins and avoid the explosions. So McLean, he didn't win with one perfect move. He survived with good decisions over time. So you don't need a hero investment that's going to, make you huge returns overnight. You need a plan that survives the plot twists.
Ooh, good analogy.
Thank you. Thank you. So some financial lessons are focus on the gain, not the gap. So at Paladin, we call these, can't believe I'm saying this on publicly for the first time, we call these Pala wins. So did a Pala win.
Okay. I really
don't press the button, Tony, please.
I really have a couple of buttons I should push right now.
So what I mean by
one that makes your chair drop through the floor into a Shark Tank, but
so
Pala wins.
Focus on the gain, not the gap. In other words, if we're always looking at, I'm not where I want to be, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I haven't achieved these goals, you miss out on everything that you have accomplished in life that has gotten you up to this point. So yes, we want to have goals, and what do we need to do to make changes and have the best situation in retirement that we want, but don't lose sight of looking at the gains that have occurred along the way. It's a Debbie Downer to always be looking up and never looking back. Secondly, wealth is built over decades. It's not hero moves, typically for most people that have maybe gotten lucky with certain investments. Boring habits win. So as we talked about earlier, saving consistently over time, tax planning, disciplined investing, not panicking. Consistency is going to beat chasing the perfect investment. It's very hard to do. We don't try to time the market, and we don't encourage our clients to do that either. So some action items are: be patient but persistent. So review and update your plan over time. Don't get caught up in the headlines, whether it's political or the market. Remember, anything you're watching on TV, their job is to keep you hooked. They're selling advertising. They want you to come back. So it's always going to be unfun stuff they're talking about.
The sky will always be falling.
Correct.
Yeah. Fear. Yeah.
And then third, keep your eye on your goals, not other people's goals. Your plan is your plan, not your brother's, your neighbors, or whoever. So those are some things to think about.
That's great. Well, this has been a great discussion so far, Jeff, talking about Die Hard, some financial lessons to take out of there, some good parallels there. I like it. You really got creative there, but it's fun, and it's a great way to learn more about what we need to be doing with our finances. Now, how are you going to wrap this up for us?
Yeah, so some Die Hard money checklist items. So 3 questions for you to reflect on is, number 1, where am I financially barefoot today? What do I do about that? 2, do I have the right tools for the mission that I'm facing? Which means you have to know, what mission are you facing? What's your goal? 3rd, what villains are going to impact you achieving your goals? So taxes, inflation, healthcare, whatever it might be. And number 4, find your Sergeant Al Powell. Al Powell. That's hard to say. So that's the police officer who helped McLean.
Al Powell.
Powell, thank you.
Yeah, Al Powell. Yeah.
So he helped McLean throughout the movie, helped him to survive. So whether that is a friend, a relative, your financial advisor, whoever that is, have someone that's going to be your accountability buddy to help you to have a good plan throughout
Jeff Foley.
Retirement.
I'm going to throw out a name. Yeah. Jeff Foley is my Al Powell, and I loved that character. One of the greatest characters in Die Hard was that cop. He was great, and he really did help. Imagine if John McClane had a pair of tennis shoes during the glass.
Different. We wouldn't be talking about it today.
Right. It would have been a 10-minute movie if he hadn't been barefoot there. But sometimes we find ourselves barefoot in a field of broken glass in front of us financially. And so that's where you need this help, just to take that analogy a step further. But this is great. What else do you have for us?
Yeah. So if you want a Die Hard style stress test of your financial plan, give us a call, and we offer you a complimentary consultation, get together and ask any questions you want. We'll provide as much value in that time that we spend together as possible. If you need a plan, you don't have a plan in place currently, or you want a second opinion on that, give us a call. And our number is 651-842-8406. And yippee-ki-yay financial planning.
All right. And we'll end it there. That does it for today's episode of Paladin Financial Talk with our host, John McClane. Jeff Foley.